everyone, welcome to another episode of Our Jacked Up Lives. I have my sister on today. This is
Hello.
Kate.
Hello.
Kate and I have been living together for as long as she's been alive. Obviously, she's my sister.
17 years.
17 years. We went to the
Wow.
same grade school for a while. Then she eventually transferred out of there. Then we went to the same high school for a bit. That's better.
Not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Um, but we did go to the same high school. What's actually kind of fun about like us is I'm like 4 years older than you. So when I finished high school, you just started, and we're gonna do the same thing with me finishing college,
Yeah.
and you just starting
The
it.
joint grad party thing.
Yeah, and not to mention our joint birthdays too,
Joint birthdays.
because we were
as
both
well.
born in December, so we'd always had the same birthdays. So
Yeah.
that was big fun.
Parties.
Yeah, just having all the family over, lots of fun with that. But you're going into college soon.
I
Yeah.
didn't think this is what we were going to talk about. God damn it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, it's interesting, that like we have the relationship we talked about earlier with the whole like, not necessarily like being in school at the same time, but being close enough to where we're like just barely out of it and we can still
Yeah.
communicate and have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah. So like, what are your thoughts on getting into college, man? Like you're starting that.
It's scary.
Mhm.
Like I'm looking and trying to figure stuff out, but I still really have no idea what the hell I'm going to do. And like I'm worried about, I'm not like insanely worried about making like new friends or anything or just like that type of stuff. It's more cuz like I did that with Willows, I did that with Viter. I didn't know anyone going into high school and like I turned out just fine with that.
Mhm.
But just like moving away cuz I'm probably going to go pretty far. It's weird. It's like exciting, but it's also terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing that you're kind of like wiki about, like with college?
Roommate,
Roommate.
that's scary.
Yeah.
That shit's am I allowed to cuss?
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't just 'cause you're.
Okay, that's terrifying.
Yeah. um, like I had a bad roommate situation. Like.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you did.
I did not like my roommate. So like, there's a chance that you could absolutely get stuck with somebody you don't like. I don't want to like freak you out, but like, that's totally a possibility.
Yeah.
What I would do if I were you, just try and get on like whatever like groups like. I know you're not on Are you on Facebook?
No, but I will be for that.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's a thing that people do.
Try and like snag somebody who doesn't completely like suck or seem like they suck.
Yeah. That.
But odds are like you're probably not gonna end up rooming with this person like after your freshman year. I think most people will just end up rooming with a friend. It's like sophomore year and like junior year is when like a lot of the actual college stuff really happens.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But you're gonna have that fun adjustment period to where you're like you're given all this freedom. Are you excited about being able to do what you want when you want? Or
yeah, and not having to text mom and dad every single time I go out to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's definitely gonna be. It was an experience for me at least. Like growing up in our parents were relatively protective compared to most people.
Yeah.
Love you, mom and dad, but like
The lane, the load.
but so like there was a lot of that going in. So like the freedom that we got when we first went to college was different. I like kind of freaked out a bit. Like
Really?
it wasn't really that fun for me. Because I went to a small school, D3 school where there's like 1,000 kids, so like very small people, middle
Basically
of nowhere.
as big as our high school.
Yeah, well, actually smaller than our high school.
Damn.
Yeah, there's less people there. So that was a whole new experience. But what also was really different about from like college as opposed to high school, it's you have that difference in you can like people. It's not the same social groups. It's like when you're in high school, you're stuck around the same people all the time. You get to know the drama in the group. You get to know the drama, especially in grade school too. That's even worse, I'd say, than high school. But like that consistently will happen. But in college, everyone's doing their own stuff. Like that doesn't happen in college.
I'm excited for that just because all like the bullshit you see or. Sorry.
Whatever. I mean, do what you want, but just know that this is going on YouTube. So.
Okay. But just like all the stuff that high school people get wrapped up in, it's really annoying, and I'm kind of just like sick of all of that and ready to just deal with people who don't.
Yeah.
get so caught up in every little thing.
It's funny because the people who think that it's gonna be like high school with the whole like getting wrapped up into that stuff, like
I'm
those
hoping it
people,
won't be. I'm hoping it's gonna be so different.
it will be way different. But
Yeah.
the thing is like for those people who want to have another high school experience, you can totally have it.
You can.
You can, and but it's not. I wouldn't recommend it. Like,
0 out of 10 do not recommend, but yeah.
yeah, for sure. Especially because it's like everyone goes and has a clean slate. No one knows
Mhm.
anybody, so
I
you're.
like that like no one knows anyone. Cuz
Mhm.
for going into high school, cuz I transferred out of St. Paul into Willows and no one from that school followed me to Viter. I knew like absolutely no one, and that was terrifying. I was basically shy as, shy could be at the beginning of freshman year and just like trying to find some people, but so I feel like if I could do that where like I was the only one who really didn't know that many people, I feel like I'll be fine in college just cuz everyone's going to be looking for friends anyway basically.
Yeah, and I can relate to that as well because I did the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, and and some crazy shit happened with me too. Like if you want to see that, you can go on to the Jack Kohler episode, and like halfway through it, I talk about that. But I got essentially got rejected for asking somebody to homecoming.
I love that story. It's so funny.
Fuck you, man.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Like laugh. It is funny. If I
It's
was
funny now.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, yeah, it's funny now. That was like the worst thing ever when it
No.
was actually
I
happening to me.
know.
Dude, like I could not look up from my iPad. That
No,
I was just
yeah.
like just like listening to what everybody else said in the background in homeroom and seeing like all that, dude. It was terrifying. Yeah.
God, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, man. It wasn't fun. It wasn't as bad as people think it would be though. That's the one thing. It's like people forget like very quickly about stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And it also did help that no one knew who I was as well. So that wasn't
You had
as
to
big
make
of
a
an issue.
name for yourself later.
Yeah, I did, but I also never really tried to. That kind of like
Really?
really like set me in my I'm not going to like stand out at all during high school for
Mm.
like at least the maybe my junior year I kind of started to do some of my own stuff, but like sophomore year
Mhm.
I was not interacting with people. I wasn't really trying to. I wasn't trying to make friends. I was kind of like letting people talk to me instead. And it was
That's what I did freshman year.
yeah, and that
It was
normally doesn't
terrible
work
for
out.
me. For
Yeah.
me, it was bad. After I went on Quest, a retreat that like our school offers, I went into that because you did Kairos and you
I went cult leader on it, but we can talk about that later.
you went what?
I went like full cult leader.
You
Like
did
yeah, man, it was I overblew it like for sure.
Kairos?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I a little bit, but like just seeing how much you loved it and everything, I
Mhm.
wanted to do, the other retreats. So I went on that one freshman year, and a couple more of my friends went on that, but I didn't end up actually like interacting with them during the retreat, which was good
Mhm.
because I got to meet other people, and it was cool to see because someone in my like group was one of the most popular kids in the entire grade. Basically, now he's like one of the most popular in the entire school.
Mhm.
And I was just like, when I found out that he was in my group, I was like, man, fuck this guy. Or just like, I just don't want to deal with this. Why is this kid in my group? But then after like talking to him, or just talking to everyone in that group who I barely knew, it's like, oh, like these are actual people. Like these people are cool. It's not as like black and white as you think it is. And
Mhm.
that really opened my eyes and made me a lot more comfortable in high school because I realized everyone's got all this stuff going on, and like I'm not the only one who's super uncomfortable here, and then I just stopped caring. And by like mid sophomore year, I was like, all right, just here to learn,
Yeah.
have fun, don't really care.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now.
That's the attitude that I had going into like after I went on my retreat that I was
Mhm.
talking about too. Like it was kind of like realizing that like everybody is on the same page of being insecure and having to deal
Yeah.
with those issues, and that made me feel a million times better.
Mhm.
Like it just hits different when you find out that like people are going through struggles, and some people are going through some crazy struggles that we're not going to talk about,
Yeah.
but it's like whoa, like seeing that and seeing them being open about it and being able to
Mhm.
communicate and like getting an understanding of into what this person acts like every day. It helps you understand like maybe there's a reason these people act like this, or the people that I don't like act like this, or maybe they're just doing this because they feel insecure, and it's all it makes people way more forgivable, and it makes you understand it and increases empathy more too, which I think is extremely helpful, especially like in today's day and age when like people like don't care. It's just like if you do one bad thing, all of a sudden you're just getting like, you just get
Canceled.
shot. Yeah, you canceled or that
I
other
hate
stuff, and it's
cancel
like,
culture.
yeah, me too. It's awful.
Yeah.
Um, like there's no room for forgiveness in these people's minds, and that's
No.
just like that's a sad existence to
Mhm.
not be able to like to feel so put upon by all these people. Like essentially, I'm assuming for most people who were like involved in cancel culture, they were bullied a lot, or I don't know how maybe a lot. Let's just say a lot. They're bullied a lot, and all of a sudden they're like, I don't really fit in. And then they found this group of people, and then they started like calling out people for doing bad things, and they finally felt that sense of like, like I'm
Oh, let
doing
me
the right
pick
thing.
at someone else's
Yeah,
flaws type thing. Yeah.
but in reality, all they're doing is just doing the same thing that people did to them.
Yeah, and that's like the same thing with bullying and stuff. But when you were saying that it makes people like it makes you understand people more, I know you and I differ a bit on this, just because like with my whole thing with that, like, because you can understand really well, or not really well, because you're never as deep in someone else's situation, but you can understand like why a person acts the way they act. But I don't really think that it's too much of like defining, whereas like, oh, I just like that's forgivable then, you know?
But
I know, I kind of had a stroke just then. I'm trying to think how to. I've worded it so
also,
well
please just
before.
talk like directly into it.
Like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
I hate this. This
I'm
feels
sorry,
so
you.
unnatural.
Well, it's what you got to do to get the best sound quality.
I'm gonna end up licking the
Or you
mic.
can, yeah, I know. Or you can start like yelling. You can like
I don't
stand
want to
back
yell.
here and talk like this, or you can like get real
Alright,
up to
I'll
it.
just stay here.
Yeah.
But with, I don't even know what I was saying anymore.
I don't know either. You were talking something about like how like with empathy and other people and being able to forgive them based off of what they go through, or something
Oh
along
yeah,
the lines
because
of
I've
that.
talked to you before about like when I come home from school and people are annoying me and
Yeah.
just walking around being jerks all day. And like we talk about it and you're always saying how, oh well, it's probably because this, and like I understand that, and
Mhm.
I think about it, I recognize it, but I think there's a huge difference between like understanding that a person acts the way they do and then being like, oh, because whatever history, then it's like okay.
Well, yes. It's not. I'm not necessarily saying it's okay,
Yeah.
but it's more so getting to understand that these people. Well, first of all, these people are in high school, and you really can't hold how someone acts in high school over someone else's head, because it's like,
Well, no, but it's just see my whole thing with that is, and this has happened to me with some friends in the past too, of just you're not acting how either like you used to or how it's like I'm not growing or you're not making me a better person in this friendship type of thing.
mhm,
And like that's fine. I kind of understand why you're doing what you're doing or why you act the way you do, but I'm not going to put myself in a friendship that I'm not going to grow in, and also it's just not good for me right now type of thing.
yeah, I get it.
So it's like you got to go through whatever you got to go through, like you'll figure it out. But I think it's important to know when to remove yourself as well. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it really is. Like there are some people that you'll end up being friends with in life that might be good for the time being, but
Mhm.
then later on they try and like drag you down, or and not even like trying to drag you down, they'll just like do it.
Yeah.
And or like they don't want to grow the same way you want to grow, and then
Exactly.
it becomes not necessarily a burden but kind of a burden.
Mhm.
Like you don't want to have those people that are weighing you down in life, and you really do need to separate yourself from them when they start doing it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people see those situations as, "Oh, well, why are you doing this to me?" and stuff. It's like it's not always as personal. At least in my experience, it's not always as personal as like it may seem.
Mhm.
Cuz sometimes you just got to cut ties and like
Yeah.
move on, and it's better for you and it's also better for them.
Yeah,
Because
it's like
if
a
neither
breakup.
of you are benefiting, like why?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Like it sounds selfish and it is. But
Well,
why is that such a
yeah.
bad thing?
Yeah. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But like that's how other people view it,
mhm.
kind of. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And well, a lot of I think I don't know. I really don't understand that as much. I've definitely had friends that I've fallen out of being friends with, but the majority of the time it wasn't because I feel like I was, you know, overdoing it with them. Like there's not like a lot of people like those friendships that did end like that. They were only like a month or two long, or they
Mhm.
weren't very long in the first place. But you got like if you have like a long friendship, that's when it becomes difficult. When you
Yeah.
have like let's say I don't know, let's say like freshman roommate kind of thing in like college.
Mhm.
If you're like best buddies with like that person, and to my boy Carson, this is in no way in regards to you. I love you, buddy. um,
You and Carson, man.
yeah. But if you like have someone like that, where you're in like you live with them, you're friends with them, you're really good friends
Mhm.
with them, but all of a sudden, let's say that they start dragging you down, um, that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Like it, I mean, it's just like if they're like convincing you to like go out drinking like every weekend or something,
Mhm.
or like something along the lines of and your grades are starting to suffer, or you're starting to feel like mentally like you're like, well, I'm not really worth a whole lot. Like
Mhm.
if you are getting into that territory and that person makes you feel like that, you are doing
Yeah.
absolutely nothing wrong by like severing a tie.
No, I don't. Yeah. It's just when it's the longer friendships, it's harder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, but like again, those things happen because people don't grow the same way that like
No.
others do. Like I
And
you see,
that's fine.
and you see it all the time in like relationships too. Like the amount of people that I know that are like in relationships in college, like a lot of people like that I went to high school with are still together, and I don't know anything about it. Like I don't know like anything about their relationship, so I'm not gonna like go and say like like things are
Y'all are
bad, things
doing
are
it
good. Yeah, no,
wrong.
like I can't speak on that,
Yeah.
but it's that there are some people that are too scared to break up with someone. Like
Mhm.
and
For
that's
sure.
and that's
For
dangerous
sure.
territory.
There are some people like that at my school right now who have been. Well, actually, I think a lot of them broke up. But there's,
Good.
right?
Very good.
There's like the people you pull for kind of because like, oh, they're cute together, but then again, you have no idea what the hell's going on.
Mhm.
But there's in high school, there's always those couples that just have been together since like freshman year or like sophomore year.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, y'all still doing that, and they're like, yeah. It's like, okay.
And you're going through a time in your life where you're growing like probably the most
Yeah.
socially, not so much like from I mean ages like 3 to like 5, that's
Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
but like if we're talking about like social growth
Mhm.
amongst people learning how to be an adult, you're doing a lot of that in high school, you're doing a lot of that in college.
Mhm.
And if you're not around that person, like I tried doing a relationship from high school into college, and that didn't work. Like it wasn't good for either of us. It wasn't ideal, like we were both like beating the shit out of each other essentially, not in
Mhm.
like a literal way, but of course we were like mentally just it wasn't good, and
Mhm.
that caused a rift to form between us, and then we had problems, and then it got to the point where we were like we need to cut it off.
Mhm.
And it sometimes it really just like people are afraid to look at themselves in that relationship and be like, hey man, like this is not what we originally were doing.
Mhm.
And some people refuse to look at that,
Yeah.
and that's how divorce happens. That's how kids get born,
Yeah.
and their parents are like in a bad relationship, or like it affects more than just you in the long run. and
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't see it as that.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad to try it out as much as you can and like
Oh
fight
no,
for it.
nothing's wrong with that.
Sometimes it just happens.
But giving up at some point isn't necessarily a bad thing,
No. 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 Not
especially
at
if it
all.
doesn't work, or if
Yeah.
your friends or family are telling you, "Hey, man, this is like weird," you know,
Mhm.
like there are some people that should really like listen to that more so, but also
Yeah.
some people are scared to let it go.
Well, it's so much easier to say from the outside perspective, like, you should do this.
Yeah, it is.
Like, be objective about it. It's so easy to be objective.
Well, I do that to you all the time, and you hate it.
You do. Because I know exactly what you're going to tell me because I'm already telling myself that.
Yeah.
Because, like, I always am very objective with myself, but then I'm like, well, but it's different. But it's not,
Yeah.
but it's different. And I just go back and forth.
Yeah.
So, like, it's harder then, but, you know.
Yeah, man. Relationships are difficult, And
Mhm.
I mean, like, yeah, we
Yeah.
we both had some relationships in the past that were kind of like oof, but
Yeah.
we got past them. And I think that everyone that comes out of a relationship that's like bad, like they become a better person.
You just learn.
You do. And you
Yeah.
also learn what you don't want,
I
which
was
is the
just. Did you
biggest thing.
read my? I was just gonna say that.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
you did read
I
my
I
mind.
did. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's like that's the most beneficial thing too, is realizing like, this isn't it. This is
Yeah.
like, and then you can go along and find somebody else. And then also you don't feel that pressure to be in a relationship, which a lot of people feel. I felt that an immense amount in high school.
Yeah, I know you did.
Mhm.
I'm so glad I don't care enough to be in a relationship. Like
Yeah. I only
that's not. Yeah.
the majority like the main reason why I wanted to be in a relationship in high school was just so I could say I had one. It wasn't
Yeah.
really about
Well, in
like,
high school, that a lot of values put on that,
yeah, I know.
which is stupid.
It is stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, but it makes sense when you're in high school because that's just what happened.
Yeah,
That's just
exactly.
what's happening.
And then you go to college, then you realize like, oh, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like no one cares. And
Mhm.
that's kind of freeing too. Like realizing that no one cares about you in college is extremely freeing, cuz it's kind of just like,
See, I
you
don't
get
think anyone really like people care in high school, but no one really cares about you in high school.
yeah, sure.
Like,
Elaborate on that, please. I don't really.
well, you say this all the time. Everyone's got their own shit going on. They don't actually notice or really care about what you have going on.
That's true.
Type of thing. Like
That's true.
everyone that I go to class with, like I just don't think they really give a shit if I ask a question or if I
Yeah.
like don't understand something in
Yeah.
math and I'm like I don't get this because now I'm just like I just it's not worth my time to like overthink about it. And still sometimes like going back to school, this was weird to me cuz I didn't think I was going to care that much, but I went to school the first time I raised my hand to ask a question, I was like I could feel my
Yep.
heart pounding.
Yep.
I was like what is this? Like I'm a senior in high school. I've been with these people for 4 years. I don't think I like care.
Yeah.
But then I was like Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
which was so weird to me.
High school's toxic. It's very
It's
toxic.
so bad.
Yeah, especially like in like private high schools too. I can't really speak on that because I only went to a private high
Yeah.
school. I didn't go to public
Well, in
school.
what aspect are you talking about?
Well, okay, so here's all the friends that I made from like, because I had a lifeguarding job for a while, and I worked. I met a lot of people from a public school called Prospect, and those guys were just all
I
ridiculously
have a
so
friend that
chill.
goes to Prospect.
Yeah, like the Prospect kids were all, shout out Mount Prospect or Prospect High School. Y'all are chill as hell.
Most of them.
Well, I don't know the ones that aren't. So
I know only one. Actually,
okay.
Wow.
Well, either way, like it just seemed like they had a different dynamic than like the private school did. And that also might just be because like with going to a Catholic school, you get judged all the time. Like you are taught as soon as like you go into school, you're like, okay,
do you remember your
God's
ethics
watching me.
class
What?
senior year?
Yeah, sure. Where are we going with this?
Senior ethics class?
Yes.
So I'll elaborate. Senior year at Viter, you take an ethics class. It's called ethics. It's actually Christian ethics, which is not ethics. It is Christian teachings and religious truths.
Yeah.
Which are, all around truths, which is the stupidest thing to me, and I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't think objective truths really exist.
There's no objective truth. Like, what the hell? It's so frustrating. Like, the first day of ethics, she was like, okay, we're going to talk about relativism. And that's, let me recall what it's what the definition. But it's like thinking of things and understanding them as they are, not really putting a whole lot of weight on all around truths or anything. Like they don't think there's any truths. And as she's explaining this, me and like a bunch of my friends, we talked about this. We're like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like maybe I'm like a relativist. And then it's like, no, you're Catholic. We think. And I hate when the teacher's always like, well, as Christians, like we think. And I'm like, no, you think. And you're trying to brainwash us and make us think.
Yeah.
But like it's not working. And we had to do this one Google form and fill out how like what ethical dilemma like this class faces or something like that. And I just put like, I think it was anonymous. So I was like teaching about ethics, but also allowing us to have our own thoughts, because I feel like that's something this year that's going to be really hard
Mhm.
for us to, and like shit, I'm going to challenge it if she gets really annoying with it,
Yeah.
cuz I don't care anymore. She's a really sweet lady, but I just don't like some of the stuff how it's like this is what we think. Like you can teach ethics, but you can't teach someone's personal ethics.
Mhm.
You can't teach someone their own morality.
Yeah. That's something they have to figure out for themselves.
Exactly. You just can't. You can like educate someone on like different options or different topics, and then they formulate an opinion and they formulate their own ethical standpoint. But you can't just teach someone like this is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's the truth because some people in some organization, religion, who were appointed by God
Mhm.
said so. Like that's
Yeah.
bull. That's bull.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. You summed it up great.
Ugh.
You know,
Makes me
and
mad.
yeah, and not to mention you had to deal with that at your or not grade school, but like middle school
Middle
as well.
school.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, I've heard enough from stories that you've said, like at least like with like there was mass every day, like
You
at
didn't
that
have
school.
to go every day.
Yeah.
You didn't have to. But you're not going to mass? Like that type of thing. Yeah, the middle school I went to was Opus Dei, which
Mhm.
is basically just Catholicism on crack. Like that's kind of how I like
Yeah.
to think of it. It's ridiculous. Basically from like the first moment I realized that like, oh my god, this is going to be a ride, was 6th grade, which is the first year there. I was having a blast. It was all girls. I didn't have any issues like making friends. People there were super nice. No boys to have cooties or distract me in 6th grade.
Cooties are gross.
Cooties are disgusting, but we can talk about that another time. But I was having a fantastic time. Already loved it. Was like, this is gonna be so much better than my elementary school because that place was getting bad.
Shout out to St. Paul.
Shout out to St. Paul de Cross. But then we got to theology class because they called it theology because they're fancy and Catholic.
And Opus Dei.
And Opus Dei. And it was like a Friday.
Mhm.
So every Friday we had this assignment called a homily report. You might be able to see where this is going. We would have to take the gospel reading from that Sunday and like write a summary of it, write a reflection on it, and then write about what the priest said in your Sunday homily. So basically what you heard and what you listened to at church.
Right.
And so I raised my hand thinking, oh, I'm going to get out of this assignment because I don't go to church. Like, hell yeah. So I was like, what if we don't go to church? She was like, well, you should. And I just stopped. I was like,
Excuse me?
no, I wasn't even, because at that point, like, now
Yeah,
if
you were,
someone
like-
said that to me, I'd be throwing hands.
You were in 6th grade, right?
I was in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I was like, this has never happened before. Like, low-key, how dare you, but also, okay. So
Mhm.
then I, like, made mom go to church that Sunday. We went to St. Paul. Shout out to St. Paul.
Shout out to
Cross.
St. Paul.
And I wrote my homily report. And I turned it in. And I was like, I went to church. But it was, that just, like, I remember it so vividly. Like, where I was sitting type of, when you have, like, a memory and you know exactly.
Wow.
Like, it was just transformative to me for
Whoa.
a second. And then I ended up making up the rest of the homilies for a while. But, sorry, Miss, you were the worst. Like, you really were terrible. But that school was insane. They
Mhm.
really tried to teach us what to think. And because I used to think when I was going there that if I had a question on something, that I wasn't allowed to think different things, which to me now is insane.
Yeah.
And frustrates me so much that I literally thought I wasn't allowed to think certain things
Mhm.
because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, I like to think of it kind of, because going into high school, you kind of start to realize like who you are a little bit. Like I'm 17, I don't know much, but I'm sure there's still plenty more I'm going to learn about myself later. But I started to kind of figure out like, oh, this is kind of who I am. This is what I like. This is my type of stuff. And I started to think like, I haven't always been like this, or I want to like have connections of, oh yeah, I've loved this forever and I've done this since I was a kid type of thing, and I just didn't have that. And I was trying to think of what I used to like, and I realized that like my personality I think was very similar from when I was in elementary school and high school. They're more similar, but that like middle school period when I was at Willows just completely like stunted my emotional growth in like every sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's frustrating, first of all, because I feel like I could have gotten so much out of just those years, like 3 years. I mean, I'm glad everything has gone the way it has because I am who I am, and I'm very happy with who I am.
Yeah,
But
and you're a badass, so.
thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I try. But just like thinking about that is wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
That I just had these 3 years because, and I don't blame myself for being a little brainwashed because
How could you?
What else was I gonna do?
Yeah, at least it wasn't sociology.
What?
Oh, sorry, Scientology. My bad.
I was like, that's
Yeah, that's a completely different thing.
That's a completely different thing. Took class on that last.
Shout out Scientology. Shout out the Church of Scientology.
I don't even know much about that. I gotta do my research.
It's scary.
I know it's
pretty scary. It's like that, but it's like way worse, and they believe some crazy far out there stuff.
Yeah.
And they don't let you leave.
That's a scary thought.
Yeah. And now I'm banned from all Scientology places of worship. Like
you
ever.
are?
Well, now I am after I just said that.
Oh yeah. Shit, kick me out too. I don't want none of that.
Yeah, for real, right?
Put me on the list, man. That's crazy.
Mhm. It's like religion just gets like that though sometimes. Like people like well, actually no, I shouldn't say that. It's not religion. It's people who are in power.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're like as a race, as a species of like animals, I guess. I don't know, whatever. As a species, we are just getting over the fact we're like, wow, these people that were telling us all this stuff, they were lying to us. And now we're
no
like
freaking way.
And now we're like, what? And what sucks
Yeah.
too is like a lot of people like thought, oh, these people were lying to us, and then just decided to give up on religion as a whole, which I feel bad about. That
I
understand
understand that though, because I've had those moments too, where I'm just like, you know what, and I like, just like, you know what, screw it, like I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, it's really not like it matters what you actually believe, as long as you're just doing what you want, isn't not being an asshole. Like,
oh my god, the crazy thing is what they taught. Another thing they taught me at Willows.
Yeah.
Shout out to Willows. They, like, I believed that if you weren't Catholic, if you weren't like Christian, like, you know, Christian, you could get a little leeway, 'cause, you know, Jesus and all that.
Yeah.
But if you weren't Catholic or Christian, like, you were just going to hell.
Yep. Yeah. What?
Sure.
That's crazy.
Yep. If you don't go to church every Sunday, and then, oh, do you want to hear about the venial and moral sin thing?
Oh, I talked about this a little bit before.
You did?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so there's the venial sins, which are just like little itty bitty sins, like
saying the word fuck.
Yes.
Which is, again, ridiculous.
Or not even, or just saying, oh my God.
Yeah,
or, you know,
yeah.
using the Lord's name in vain type of thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Or lying to someone, you go to confession, that's whatever. But you can't receive communion on, oh my God, I don't think I've ever told you this too. We'll get to
I'm excited.
So, you can't like receive communion if you have moral sins.
Mortal.
Like on
mortal.
Mortal?
You said moral. It's mortal.
Oh, it is mortal.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Willows in so long.
Oh, it's okay. You don't
really,
need to go back.
They really caught me slacking. Yeah. Mortal sins on your conscience, and you receive communion, that's another mortal sin. And
What?
Then, oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
So.
How does that work?
Do you remember when you used to go to church with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So
shout
I
out
started.
Tekla. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah, actually, genuine shout out to.
Yeah, genuine shout out to Tekla.
Genuine shout out to
I played
Tekla.
football there. It was fun.
Not shout out to the archdiocese, but.
Yeah, no.
But I used to, in like 8th grade, when the Catholic guilt really started to get to me, I started going to church.
Mm-hmm.
Purely out of guilt, really.
Fun.
And some, oh, this might be good for me. But then you went with me a couple times, and I remember sitting in the pews right before communion the first time that you went with me, and me thinking, do I need to tell him that if he has mortal sins, he can't receive communion?
Yo.
Which is ridiculous. It makes me so angry. And I would think that when I would go with friends, too.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
Like, I genuinely thought that. And then I, like, felt bad because I didn't tell you. But I didn't want to, like, say that.
I would have just told you that's crazy.
I know. Because I didn't want you to say that. Because, like, I think I knew it was crazy.
Yeah.
But also, I was just like,
yeah.
That's just what I thought.
A lot of times people just don't want to question their beliefs.
No. Oh, my God. I was in that spot. Sorry. I was
No,
in
I
that
like
spot for so long where I was like, this is something I'll deal with later. But right now, I'm way too fucking scared to even think that this couldn't be.
Right.
And now I'm just like, I honestly don't know where I stand with beliefs or religion or whatever, if religion, like, at all. And I'm okay with that as of right now. Okay. Like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not too strapped on time, I feel like. And if I don't figure it out, I don't
you never know.
I mean, yeah, sure, maybe, but, like, I'm pretty content.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to stress about it and feel like I need to, have all the answers and then drive myself crazy and, that type of thing. Because that's just not worth it.
Mm-mm.
But, like, back then I was just, It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Catholicism has a way of brainwashing people.
Just don't be Catholic.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for some people. If
does.
It works for you, it works for you.
But, I mean,
but
take it with a grain of salt.
Take everything with it. And that's what they told me I couldn't do at Willows.
Yeah.
I remember this one teacher, we were learning about things, and she was like, if you disagree with something, you can't. I was like,
what?
I was like,
if you disagree with something, you can't disagree with it.
You can't disagree with it because you can't pick and choose religion.
Damn, I really love limiting the First Amendment.
I love picking and choosing. That's what I've learned from that experience of being told you can't pick and choose. I'm like, all right.
I'm just going to go ahead and pick and choose.
I'm just going to pick. I'm going to leave that because that's insane.
Yeah.
Or picking that. Like, it's ridiculous. And I was like, oh, okay. Can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
Gotta take everything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Everything the Pope says, that's what I believe. No.
Yeah.
No.
Let's just not think for ourselves. That sounds like a great idea.
That's exactly what it was. And I was like, okay, bet. I'll be so good at it. I'll be a little monkey all day long. And then I went to Viter, and they were like, yeah, religion's religion, but we're not going to absolutely shove it down your throat. And they do sometimes, but, like, not that bad.
Yeah.
Compared to Willows, it's nothing.
It's night and day.
Compared to Willows, it's public school, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, free thinking. What a ride.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
Yeah. And then I figured it out a little bit more.
That is something I did like about Viter. Like, Viter was great for that reason. They talked to you about religion, but they weren't trying to shove it down your throats. They made you go to mass. And
no, not even that. Some of the teachers.
I didn't really experience a whole lot of that.
Did you have?
No, we're gonna bleep names as well.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I can do that in post. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but like, no, I didn't have that teacher. So I really wouldn't know. The ones that I had were great. You know, like I got lucky with who was my sophomore year teacher? I don't remember. What do we take Bible? Oh yeah, she was funny. She was nice though. She was really nice. But yeah, I never had anyone who was trying to like force something down my throat. Also, shout out Father Corey too. He was real good about doing about saying, hey man, like just do like believe what like take what you want, and I think that was the best because
that makes you, if anything, like if you're trying to promote Catholicism or Christianity, that's gonna make it more appealing to people.
Yeah.
By just saying, here it is. Give it a look over, like see what you like about it, instead of being like, this is what you have to believe.
Yeah.
In or out.
Yeah.
Like in heaven, out hell.
I mean, why do you think so many people like think that Catholicism or Christianity or again all religions are just total BS now? It's because of that take it or leave it mentality. Mm-hmm. The fact that you don't let people think for themselves, because people want to think for themselves. Mm-hmm.
I don't think all people want to think for themselves.
No. And that's very clear based off of certain people, especially people from Willows. Like, I mean, do you really think that the person who was like teaching you that thing about how you can't like pick and choose, like, do you think that maybe she was told the same thing and she just went with it and just started judging other people because she thought that she was special, because she followed all the rules?
I think a lot of people who teach kids, and not saying all teachers are like this, but a lot who teach kids like that, and teach religion to kids and are like, this is it. I think they just also enjoy being able to like set up your moral whatever.
Well, they like manipulating people.
Yeah, and just like making a new generation of little thems.
Yeah.
Like that's I think what they like,
That's just halting
which is
progress entirely.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you meet some actual good teachers who are like, let me know what you guys think about this.
those are
How's it
few
going?
and far between though, which is sad.
I know I have one. I had one today.
That's great.
She's the best. Love her. But like we filled out a Google form and she was like, pick which Michael Scott you're feeling today. It was a bunch of different expressions.
That's funny.
And she was like, why? How you doing? Aw. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that like there are teachers like those teachers deserve to be paid way more.
So much more.
I mean, you think about what like teachers do, you know, for people. And it's like if you have a good teacher, you know, like that person is someone you never forget about.
Mhm. It's so easy for them to make such a lasting impression too.
I know.
Cuz you're with them all the time.
Especially cuz there's so many teachers that suck.
Yeah, and are
You
just
know?
pedophiles.
Yeah.
That's also another thing. A lot of people who
Yeah.
go into teaching are just pedophiles, I think.
Yeah, no, that is
Because
true.
what like
People who like,
middle-aged men who are like I like working with kids, do you really trust?
yeah, you know, like
Not that many.
my guidance counselor, shout out him. Jesus Christ. Yeah, man, he got arrested for I don't know exactly what it is. You know more about it than I do, but I'm not going to go into it. But either way, he got arrested, and that was it's like awful. You know, he had like pictures of girls like all up in his office like all the time. You know, like everyone at our school, like and even the kids in our grade like knew about it. Like we made jokes about that consistently.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You know?
See, that didn't make it to our grade. Our grade didn't resonate with that. I just didn't like them.
You know, we were looking at it and we were like, this is weird. You know, like this is some like I remember I had to like talk to him about like something with my Italian class. And I was talking to mom and dad about it, and they're like, "Why don't you want to talk to him?" Like, because he only cares about girls.
That is so true.
And now it's like, wow, isn't that real obvious now? And like he didn't give a damn about me because it's like there are 200 kids he's supposed to keep an eye on. He's got like he's got like a 20 pictures of the prettiest girls in his office.
Yeah,
you know,
the basketball team and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens way more often than people make it out to be.
And then
well.
they let it happen again.
Yeah. Yeah, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, and they're obviously
no one's trying to stop it.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing too. And like,
see, this year I'm just trying to make waves.
Yeah, for real. Like, and the fact that they have the balls to ask for money,
Right?
after they do that, and they're literally putting like people's kids in a situation where they could like, I mean, just
Where
especially
so
get
much
assaulted.
could go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and then they're gonna go turn around and be like, hey. Do you want to give us some money? Like, no. Like, you're not doing anything to fix the problems that are the biggest in this school. You're just going to completely waste that money. Like, obviously, I don't want to give you anything.
I honestly don't even know why we go to I go to private school. Like, the public school that we would go to is not good.
No,
and I'm glad I don't go there.
Yeah.
But, like, that
Yeah,
much
man.
money for this?
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's a good education.
It's better than what we'd be given for free. But, like,
Yeah.
again, you know, like...
But, like, this much money for that?
To see how poorly it's run sometimes. To see how...
Well, I tried to talk to the deans one time about, like, a situation. They were just like, you know, this dean's dean of students didn't do a damn thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, you're dean of students, yet you're spending your entire time defending teachers.
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah.
But you're just trying not to make waves.
Yeah.
And I was trying to make waves.
Yeah, exactly.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, they won't do anything to fix the problems that are there. And it's crazy to see like the loyalty that they have to these like bad people. These people that like very clearly are like they have like
they lie to themselves about it. I'm just like, oh, that's just that. No.
Yeah, nah. Like you know what them is, or not them, but you know what who what that person is. That person is a borderline pedophile, and
Damn
that
straight.
is terrifying. You know, you allow them to work in a place like around kids all the time. You know, like what are you doing? Like that's a great way for kids to. I mean, I guess get even abducted at the worst. You know, like it's terrifying to see that, and like I mean, schools just need to do a better job of that in general.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing, and I think private school. Well,
Private schools I think are worse.
I think so too,
I
but
mean,
I
they
also
don't get paid as
know
much as
'cause
public school teachers.
no, they don't
They
get
don't.
paid not even close to
Yeah,
as
so
much as public school teachers get
yeah.
paid. But like I also don't know too much about like inside public schools 'cause I've never been to public
Yeah,
school.
exactly. And that's the toughest part about it because we can't speak on that. We can't
Yeah,
speak about the
'cause we've
education system at all.
grown up in Catholic school
Yeah.
our entire lives.
Which again wasn't like awful,
No,
but it also like
it comes with its downs as much as any other school does.
yeah. And the downs though, like most of the time it's just feeling guilt all the time about whatever
What
you
the
do.
hell? Like why?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. You're not gonna gain anything. You're just gonna make people want to not be a part of your religion.
Yeah.
You're either gonna get people who are like, oh, okay, and just like follow everything all the time, or you're gonna have people who are gonna be like, wait, and then completely drop it
Mhm.
and become atheist or agnostic, which
Yeah.
is exactly what you say is like so bad, which is it's not.
Well, I mean, it does suck because it's like, you go from, I mean, in my point of view, like obviously I'm definitely not a Catholic, but
Same.
I've created essentially my own faith, and it's like having that is so helpful for just making my life a little bit easier to walk through, and it's like if you take that belief system away from somebody, like that is, I mean, that sucks.
I think belief systems are honestly just a coping mechanism for a lot.
Maybe.
Like I really think they are, because like what else is besides getting people to all be nice to each other and not end the human race by killing each other.
Yeah, let's not
which
do
is
that.
which is really what a lot of religion is. Is just like, hey,
Let's work together here.
let's keep this shit going.
Yeah,
you know?
for real.
But it's a coping mechanism of like if you do good, keeping things going as
Mhm.
smoothly as possible, path of least resistance type of thing. Then you'll be good when you die because that's the scariest thing to people because
Well,
we have
yeah.
no idea what the hell is gonna happen and we're
Yeah.
not gonna.
Yeah.
So, coping mechanism,
Yeah.
kind of.
Kind of.
Which like some coping mechanisms are fine. It's not always a bad thing.
See, I definitely don't think it's entirely a coping mechanism because I like there's too much
Well, not entirely.
there's too much in this world and stuff that I've experienced personally to where I'm like, it's I don't think it's nothing. I don't think that there's nothing that
I think I'm talking
know?
more specifically about the death aspect of it. I think
guess.
that I think a lot of it was formed as kind of, well, this is to explain that.
yeah.
Because there's like spirituality type stuff and there's like religion here, this is where you're
Yeah.
gonna go, this is what it's gonna happen.
Like where did
type of
where
thing.
where did all that stuff come from about how like, Peter is the one who checks you into the heaven's gates? Like who came up with that?
I don't know.
Like who knows about that? People who are dead.
Right?
Who's dead and comes back to life?
Purgatory is like a waiting room. You sit there's magazines. Are there magazines? Are there?
Yeah,
That's what I was
it's just that
That's how I imagined it.
basic like drivel essentially that people just kind of talk about, and they have no idea what they're talking about because they haven't died, but but some people will believe them, which is a problem, because they can just manipulate people and continue to do what we were talking about earlier with the whole like, you don't go to church on Sundays, well you better or else you're gonna die and go to hell. It's like, do you really know that though?
No.
Like,
That's the thing. I used to think that adults just had this like overwhelming knowledge, or they
Yeah.
just knew so much more than me.
Mm-mm.
And the older I've gotten, I'm kind of like waiting for that to hit, and it still hasn't. But I just kind of realized like, no, this is like I'm gonna learn a lot more, but there's nothing really like separating me
yeah,
from just someone who's older than me.
yeah,
Like you don't have some overwhelming intuition that I don't. Like you have more wisdom and years.
you have
than
more
I do.
experience.
More experience, yeah. But that doesn't like devalue anything that I have to say, but also that doesn't make me incapable of like thinking things because you don't know everything.
Yeah,
Because we're kind of in the same boat here.
it's like
you just have seniority.
I'll tell you what, like working at Walmart this summer. Shout out Walmart.
Shout out to Walmart.
Shout out to Walmart. I worked at Walmart this summer. Crazy stuff happened at Walmart. I can talk about that later.
Walmart gang.
Walmart gang. But like going and working there made me also open my eyes up to the fact that like a lot of the adults that like people who are adults like they don't know that much more than I do.
Mhm.
Especially like for some people who like there are a lot of hardworking people that were there. The hardest working people that were at Walmart were the people that were like from different countries. There's absolute loads of respect to them. Those people are fantastic. Like, I mean, the fact that you would come to this country and all of a sudden be like, I need to make ends meet, I need to do this for my family, and then you're working at Walmart, like, props to you. You know, like the amount of BS that happens at Walmart. You know, holy crap.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, so like that, I mean, that's a thing. Like, and just to give the people a little bit of insight about the BS that happens at Walmart. There was a lady who, I came in one day for my lunch, and I was looking in the bathrooms, which is kind of where I was working essentially. But like this person, like there were police there, and they were going in to grab this person, and this lady was apparently huffing like 6 or 7 cans of aerosol, like just like into their body, you know, to get that high, and like they were doing that in the middle of the day, like around like 1 o'clock, in a Walmart, and it's like what, like the stuff that these people have to deal with, and this is their profession, you know, like. You know, I just give people props for the fact that they're like that they go through that on a daily basis. You know.
What, the people who have to deal with that?
Yeah, the people have to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that brings me back to the whole like thing of me talking about adults. You think that person, like the person who was like huffing all those cans of aerosol, do you think they have like, you know, like a lot of like, do you think that they're smarter than I am? You know, in a sense, do you think that they're smarter than a high schooler that knows not to huff a bunch of cans of aerosol in the middle of the day? You know, it's like, and this person's probably been through a lot too.
Yeah.
But like, also,
that's why I don't think we can really say much.
Yeah.
Like if you've gotten to a point where you're huffing aerosol cans in the bathroom of a Walmart.
Yeah. But that's besides the point. Like my
Yeah.
point again is like the thing that you were saying earlier. You know, like that person, you know, like doesn't like people who do that. People
We're not
who, like,
very different.
Yeah, not very different than kids. You know, it's like those people that you know that are like, wow, this kid's like an idiot or at school or something, or like class count. They'll become an adult at some point, and they're not gonna act like one. Not saying anything bad about class clowns, of course. I love you guys. You guys make it bearable. But like, but you know, like, you know, some people that just never figure it out, man, and it's tough.
Yeah.
Gotta have respect for you do have to have respect for your elders, but also you gotta like they have to have respect for you too. And if they're not giving you that respect,
that's such a huge thing with me. Just the whole aspect of respect, because people like to use it as like, I'm older than you, or I'm in an authoritative position, so you have to give me respect. Yeah. I don't. Like, I will give you, like, my thing with this, and I've used this with like teachers, because sometimes like I'm just not gonna take it because they think that they can just absolutely like run me over with just whatever the hell they want. So like, I'm going to give you borderline student teacher respect, and like from then on it's a personal relationship. Because if you're not going to respect me, like if you're not going to give me that just basic human respect back, I don't owe you a damn thing.
That's true.
And
that's very
like
true.
I'm very like set on that, of just, why should I be giving you more respect than you're giving me? Like if I come into this and I'm like, I'm being respectful to you, and you're just like shitting on me back, why do I owe you anything more?
Yeah, you don't.
And I don't.
You don't.
And that's why, like, with certain teachers or certain people, just because like, oh, I'm older than you, I'm in an authoritative position, and half the people who are in authoritative positions, especially in schools, just do it to be in an authoritative position.
Yeah.
Like,
that teacher that you were talking about
to
earlier, the one that we're not going to mention his name, but like, I was just walking around. I was wearing a hoodie. The dude grabs me by my hoodie and just like, take it off.
Absolutely.
And I was like, what? I was like, what are you doing, man? Like, what's wrong with you? You know? And me being the little freshman that I was, I didn't say anything.
Oh, you were a freshman?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
So he was just trying to assert his dominance
now?
over him. Yeah. No. If anyone did like something like that to me now, like
it'd be.
I'd get all up in their face, because you can't do that. You can't do that to anybody. No. You can tell me to take it off, but if you're gonna get all up in my face and do some crazy stuff like that, like, no, you don't have the right to do that. I'm paying, like, my like, you know, it's
not to be that bitch, but you're
yeah. But like, we're the ones that are paying you. You know, you're not getting paid from the government. You know, you have to show us a little bit, especially in a private aspect. You have to show us some respect.
In any aspect, that's not even just like I'm paying you respect. That's just human decency.
Yeah, for real.
You just don't do that. And that's the thing. Like, if, like what I was saying, that's obviously you're not giving that person basic human respect. So damn it, you're not getting any from me.
Yeah, for real.
Like, absolutely none.
Yeah.
Try me.
Like, but there's some people too that take it way too far.
What?
You know, there's some people that'll like, they just be assholes to teachers, just to be assholes to
Oh,
teachers
those people
too.
annoy the hell
Yeah,
out of
those
me.
people are just as bad as the people who are like abusing their power.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
actually, if anything, they're worse.
No,
Because it's like,
plenty of people who are hierarchy wise like popular
yeah,
and
sure,
higher in the
yeah,
high school hierarchy, they do that all the time. They take advantage of just people who sit there and mind their business,
mm-hmm.
either by making fun of them for no reason or just like if they ask a question, just kind of, comment back because they can and they're in their group. Like
Yeah,
if you have a class with a bunch of other or like you have a class and there's popular people and there's their group
yeah,
and they act so like gotta put on a show type.
yeah,
But the second you get those people alone and you try to talk to them or you say something or whatever,
yeah,
they're the shyest people.
yeah.
It's
Well, because they're
ridiculous.
ridiculously insecure.
I know, and it's insane. You can see it so easily. The
I
second you
know.
get them out of their element, it's game over.
Yeah, it's so
And
funny.
you can manipulate the hell out of them too. That's what I've noticed. Not that I
Of course,
do
you
that.
shouldn't. You shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. Don't. No. But you so can because it's so easy.
Well, they're being manipulated by their friends anyway.
Exactly. It's
Like,
just like a
they're used to
train
it.
of
They
manipulation.
want it's not like they want to get manipulated, but it's like they'll do whatever they can in order
Exactly.
to make to rise in their like little group.
Exactly. Which is beyond stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way they act to each other. But then the second, if they were outnumbered by, like, let's say me and my friends, and we
Yeah.
started acting the way they did, they would have no idea how to.
Yeah.
They would have no idea what to do.
And to come full circle about college and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
those kids that like are in that kind of like, situation, a lot of them join Greek life.
Mhm.
Like they'll become like frat bros or
Shout
some
out to
other
Greek
stuff like
life.
that. Nah. Well, shout out to Greek life for some aspects of it. I gotta.
I saw we were doing a shout out thing today.
We were doing shout out to Greek life. But like a lot of those
I like
guys,
the
like,
shout out thing. You
me
should make
too.
that a thing.
Okay, sure. I like it. It's kind of fun. But like a lot of people like in those big frats,
Mm-hmm.
like they're just so incredibly insecure with who they are, and they join this group of like people they think are like macho guys,
Yeah.
just so they can like feel like
They're a macho guy.
yeah, like they're a macho guy. They're just trying to repeat their high school experience again.
Why would you want to?
I don't know.
No, I guess I kind of get it
If
because
you're
it's
really
comfort
insecure,
and that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's the path of least resistance.
It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people will stay more uncomfortable in that than going through the discomfort of seeking change.
Well, it's just 'cause it's easier.
Exactly.
It's just easier.
And it's not change.
No.
Wild.
I mean, the funny thing too is like I'll say that, but like I totally did it. Like I'm still on a baseball team. Like that was
Yeah.
entirely like the reason like I went to the school I did. It wasn't because the block plan was nice too, but I ended up going to like this small town school in Iowa just so I could play baseball, and it was just because like I didn't want to go to school at all. I didn't like
Yeah.
the idea of college scared me so much. It freaked me out just because like all of a sudden I was going to become a real world person, and it was just like, oh, like I can't believe this is happening. I'm finally getting there. Like it's just scary.
Because there's that aspect of when's it going to hit me that, like, now I'm an actual person, and then it starts to hit you.
Sure, yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit.
For me, that was like applying to colleges.
I got to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this wall that you think is put up in front of you, and you're just like, oh my god.
But now it's, yeah.
It's terrifying. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But like eventually you just get there, you get through it, you get to school, and then you start going, and then you're like, oh, okay, this isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing is gonna happen to you with whatever school you pick. It doesn't matter what school you pick. You're gonna end up with a good experience no matter what. It's how
It just
people
feels
handle
like
it.
that decision holds so much weight.
It doesn't. As someone
It
who went to a
does, but it
school that is
doesn't.
ridiculously small, and I very clearly didn't have the college experience that everybody else
There's
has.
just a lot of
This
weight
doesn't
because
matter.
it's going to define a lot of what happens in your life. But that's with any
Okay,
decision,
sure.
big or small.
Yeah,
This
I
one's
mean,
just like a big decision that also holds a lot of weight.
I mean, you should definitely enjoy making the decision and enjoy
Yeah.
like choosing the college you want to go to.
I think I already know where I'm going to go.
That's good.
So.
Well, borderline, really borderline, bottom line, like, wherever you end up, you'll probably you'll have a good time there if you can like allow yourself to have a good time.
Yeah.
And it for a lot of people, it's just allowing, like for me at least, it was allowing myself to be like, I'm not gonna have that college experience that everybody else has, and I don't think I'm missing much. You know, because
Mhm.
I did go to a couple schools. I went to visited Bradley. I visited Iowa, obviously. Visited Kansas, KU. You know, and not for me. Like
And that's good. And
it's
then you
cool.
learned
It's
that
fun.
too.
Like sure, going out like going out when you're like just like every weekend. You know, like
That's
that seems ridiculous. The people who are so obsessed with like these girls they meet on Tinder and they're just like, oh my god, like I gotta talk to this girl on Tinder or whatever, you know, and just people getting so worked up about all that, and it just doesn't it's not worth it for me,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
Like I got to see how like some people at a big school acted, and I was like, this is so shallow and fake. Like this is just so not worth it.
It's high school.
Yeah, it was high school all over again. The big schools are like high school all over again. People just
Mhm.
try and make those groups, make that happen. It's like, but you can't do that in college. You can't. You know, it's not something that like
Doesn't come as
it's
naturally.
unnatural. It's
Yeah.
unnatural, and if you try and recreate that experience, if you try and force anything to happen at all in general in life, it's probably gonna suck.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's just one of the things that a lot of people don't learn or aren't taught, which is probably the worst part. That people are like, you know what, you got if you like the whole like set if you set your mind to it, you know, you can do it. But it's like you have to set your mind to it, and you also have to give up as well. Like the whole like, it's not gonna go the way I want it, but it totally can't happen. But if you try and make it happen and go the way you want it, not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. There's a lot of things I'm starting to realize. Like I really badly want to travel so much when I'm
Mhm.
older, or
Yeah.
just even not even that much older, like
Yeah.
early 20s. Like I want to travel so much. And I'm like, well, realistically this might not happen. And I'm kind of just like I was I was like journaling about this. And I was like, well, if I keep thinking like that, then it's definitely not going to.
Yeah.
So might as
Exactly.
well just be like, it's going to happen. I'm going to do this, and it's going to happen whenever the hell it does and however it does. And that's fine with me, but as long as it happens. Like my minimum is that it happens, you know? And
Yeah.
I'm like putting stuff aside for it. I'm keeping my options open type
Yeah.
thing.
And for all those people that like do that thing where like, yeah, I'm gonna travel when I'm older or whatever, and they're not actually putting any effort into it, like, no, you won't. Like, no, you won't. If you're not if you're not like actually like actively looking at like where you want to go, if you're not talking about it, you're just saying vaguely you want to
I've
travel.
realized the more
Not
I
gonna
just
happen.
talk about something I'm going to do, then it's like, oh, well, now I have to.
Yeah, kind
And
of.
I know that it's probably going to scare me because a lot of this, like, whole thing that I want to do by myself.
Yeah.
Which does scare me. A little bit
Mhm.
weird. Don't know if I'll like it.
Right.
But
Can
the
I come?
more. No, you can't. You literally asked me this already.
I know.
I was like, I'm going to go backpacking by myself
Yeah,
for
and
a couple
I
months.
want to come
And
with. What's wrong
he's
with
like,
that?
oh, yeah, can I come? Like, you missed the whole solo part.
Nah.
You can go to different countries while I'm also simultaneously backpacking if you like. But
No.
nah, okay. I don't remember what I was saying, so
You want to travel, and you can like
do wanna
essentially
travel.
manifest things by saying it enough.
yeah.
But
'Cause
also
then
you
you're
can
kind of
do it
forced
too
to.
much. You can do it too much too, and that's dangerous as well.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
like
you can do anything
yeah.
too much.
All right, we've been going for a while.
We have.
Yeah.
I need to get ready for practice.
I think it's time to call it.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.